Morning.
So welcome to the Evansville Wartime Museum. Kind of an event we do twice a month. We're glad everyone is here. I'm glad you braved Rising Creek. We really appreciate when it doesn't rain because we can park out on the grass, but not today. So I'd ask everyone who can, please rise for prayer. Lord, our God, our Father, we give you thanks today that we are able to gather in this building as a free nation. We have much to be thankful for our volunteers, for the Bronstein Foundation that supports this program, for the blessings that come from you. We give you thanks for those who've served in the past, and today our hearts are heavy because of the conflict that rages in the Mideast. We don't know where that goes. So we ask for your safety and hold in the palm of your hand all the servicemen and women who are engaged in these activities. And we ask for heavenly wisdom, that wisdom that comes from you, to come upon the leaders of the world, that they may be able to seek peaceful solutions. And as always, we know this is in your hands and you have a plan. So we ask that that plan be demonstrated and that safety would be for all in the world. We ask these things of you and we give you great blessings. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Larry Head will lead us in singing our national anthem.
Thank you, John. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah, that's right.
Good morning. Good morning. A couple announcements first. On March 21st, first day of spring, we're going to have Rosie the River here, 100-year-old Rosie the River, Lucy Wansealer, and a lot of people prepared. It's going to be free to the public, so bring your grandkids and kids and nieces and nephews if you can. It'll make Mrs. Sanderson happy. We want to keep her happy. Second thing is on April 18th, we're going to have a dedication of one of those exhibits over there. It's the Revolutionary War. This is the 250th anniversary of our country, so it's pretty important. And we'll have lots of demonstrations, hopefully a fife and a drum to show you how people communicated, both the British and Americans during that time. Thank you for coming today. And this is probably one of the most important lectures. They're all important, but this is, I think, most important. This is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and if I had to raise the hands, I would probably have half of you. Who's been to Arlington to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier? Wow. Shoot, I thought it'd be half. Wow, that's a lot of people. So you went there, I've been there multiple times, and I don't really understand a lot of it, but we had a guy named Zach Gable talk, and he was a guard there for 2 or 3 years. He was probably one of the best football players from modern day at one time. His dad is Mike Gable. He's a wrestler and a wrestling coach, and you read how many things he's done, it's longer than our arms. But anyway, he was a guard there, and he talked about 2 years ago on this, and it was very well done. There's only about 730 or so people that have attained that height of being a guard at the Unknown Soldier. It's very rare to get that dedication to wear that on your lapel. Next slide, please. All right, I guess I got it, huh? Well, I can run back here. Let's see if I can go the other way. I guess we lost our other slides. There it is. I guess we missed our slides with it. Anyway, we'll go without it. Okay, put it back up there, Don. Go to slide number 2 or 3. I had a slide of a train. You might have seen it earlier, but the train was a 40 and 8. I have a uniform on called 40 and 8. And these guys up front, they got a 40 and 8 label. And you won't show as many hands on 40 as 8 as has been a 2-1-1. So how many know heard of 40 and 8? All right. And a few of you. Now, if you think of veteran organizations, they started in about 1921. So this is over 100 years old, this organization. This only has right now about 70,000 members. If you go to the American Legion, they have 2 million members. You go to VFW, they have 1.4 million members. So this is a dying organization. If you want to join, we can get you a red shirt. It's about $35 a year. My dad was a member. He got initiated, and he never went back to a meeting because it was sort of a fraternity initiation. We don't do that anymore, so you don't have to get beat up, and he had bugs all over him. They put him out in the forest. It was cold. He had pneumonia for a month. But anyway, we don't do that anymore. We'll get you in without all that. But 40 and 8 stands for 40 people or 8 horses. He had a picture up there of a train car. That's a train car. The Holocaust is a similar train car like that. Well, there's a train car. Okay, see, it's a European train. The wheels are a little different, but it could fit 40 people, 40 soldiers, or 8 horses. So we named this 40 and 8. This is probably the most prestigious veteran organization of the 3, hardest to get in. But anyway, that's why we named it that, because it's really important World War I. But the VFW and also American Legion evolved during that same period of time. The psychologist came and talked to us from USI. He'd been at the Persian Gulf for a while. He talked, those organizations are very important for veterans. Some of you are part of it, some of you are not, but they help with PTSD. They help you share your events with your fellow soldiers. And what happens, you go home, and I talk to my wife about it, and she listens for 45 minutes, and that's the end of my experience in war with her. I talk to my kids about it, and they listen for 45 minutes, but if I go talk to a veteran, he or she may listen to me a little longer, and some of that's what that is for us to ventilate. All right, now Hamilton Fish, when you were there in Washington, D.C., which was probably about 80% of you, Hamilton Fish was a congressman, he was also a veteran, and he got this put up to Congress and approved. The other nations had already done this. France already had a Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and so did England, so we were a year late. So he proposed that, he got it approved. Next slide. Oh, I got it. You do it? Can you do it? Just do it. If I touch that thing, I'll mess it up. Next slide. Next slide. Maybe I gotta do it. I'll try it once. 4 unidentified soldiers were found in France. All right, I'll just do it from memory. All right, get it up when you can. 4 unidentified soldiers were found in France. They were exhumed and brought to a place in France. It was a quiet room, and so there were 4 caskets there. And they mixed the caskets around, and they had a soldier, and that's what this play is going to be about. Sergeant Younger, he was picked by the major to place roses on the casket that would be the person that's going to be the unknown soldier. That individual is the ones in the big sarcophagus that you saw at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. That person, so we'll see somebody walking around. Sergeant Younger had to pick it around 4 caskets. We only have 1 today, and then he dropped the rose on there. And that person was selected of all the people that were unknown soldiers in World War I. Now you think unknown soldiers are not a big deal. They are a big deal. In the Civil War, half of them are unknown soldiers. In World War II, there's 78,000 World War unknown soldiers out of 405,000. So a lot of unknown soldiers. Half of our warriors are unknown. So think of your boy or your daughter going to war, and you don't even know who they never found them. That's a tragedy for human beings to not even know where your kid is. And that's what an unknown soldier is. So they sacrifice a lot for our good. So October 23rd and 21 is when that happened. Next slide, please, if you could do it. Okay, so this is what went on. This is what we'll see in the play. The next slide. Then the tomb, the wreath, and this is when it went to Washington, D.C. Next slide. So Hartshorn went to sit in the rotunda for a day, and then they took it by caisson out to Arlington Cemetery, put in that big sarcophagus, and that's the tomb of this individual. We don't know who it is, but he symbolizes, or she symbolizes, all Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers. So this is what we're talking about. So we observe a silent period for these veterans. Harding spoke. Next slide. The guards that you see, 21 steps for the 21 steps salute, and 21 seconds at each end that you see them. They do it about every half an hour in the summer, in the winter about every 2 hours. Rain or sleet or snow or anything from 1947 on. It's guarded. 4 million people attend that day. 1% of the American population proportionally attend that. Next slide. Neoclassical. And then 1958 and 1984. 58 we put, Eisenhower delayed it, but in 58 we did the same ritual. A little bit different, but we took 13 unknown soldiers' bodies from either France or from Europe, North Africa, or the Pacific. And they decided the same type of way on a ship and decided who they would take as the unknown soldiers. Then they were brought to D.C. in 1958 in Memorial Day time. And the same thing at the same time they did it with the 4 different Korean veterans, 4 of them. They did the same process, put a rose on the casket. And those are the 2 other people that we will see in the tomb. If I don't have the tomb up there, but we saw it earlier. When you looked at the tomb, the sarcophagus has of World War I, and to the left, to the south, is the World War II, and to the right is the person from Korean War. And in the center, there's a 3rd grave. That was the veteran from the Vietnam War. He was there from 1984 to 1998, 14 years, and they pulled him out because the family found his DNA. And supposedly we'll never have another unknown soldier because of DNA. Now this is a long preface for this play. The play is going to be 13 minutes, so bear with us. And then we have this lady over here named Barbara, and I'll introduce her in a minute. She's probably the most, one of the most significant women veterans in the area. And she'll talk about what women veterans have done here, and she's done a ton. She's a prime mover for veteran women veterans right here. So we're going to start with the play. I don't know where my script is. I left it over here somewhere. Has anybody got my paperwork? Okay, I gotta go to the car. Where's my brain? All right. We'll go ahead and get started. Mrs. Barbara Cole, go ahead and you get started.
Thank you all for coming. If possible, can you turn your phones down, because this is a very solemn event. No. Us women have to do everything. Thank you all for coming. As I said, we're from the 40 and 8. We're a little known group and we're kind of disappearing. We tried to bring this to you so you understand. I like to get this in front of children so they can understand. I think you all know what's going on and have heard about this. But we need to teach this to our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren, if possible. So I will begin the program. It is the purpose of the work of this ritual to give you certain instructions pertaining to the order and to impress you with the serious side of lost society, which will extract from you service to your comrades, community, state, and nation. The 40 and 8 is comprised of those who honorably served in the armed forces during the wars and the conflicts for the safety of the world, and who are today serving as citizens of the greatest nation on the face of this earth. So you see, in peace as in war, we serve. Upon entering our midst, your reception is quite different from any other fraternal order. For your interest here is with eyes open and not hoodwinked. This is better to impress upon the friendship, devotion, and mutual helpfulness that exists among the members of Lost Society.
My flag and I, two of us this vigil keep. Midsummer rains and winter snow, month by month and year by year. As seasons come and seasons go, remember, as you pass my grave, I am not dead, I cannot die. So long as you will keep the faith, we live, my flag and I. Pity, no, nay, envy me. My place against the morning sky. So long as you will guard us well, we live, my flag and I.
The tableau you are about to witness is for the purpose of reminding you never forget those who gave their lives for our country, or the ideals for which their sacrifice was made. The unknown soldier represents the unknown soldiers of all wars.
In the city of Chalon, sur Marne, France, 4 earth-stained coffins lay in a flag-decorated room. One coffin has been brought there from each of 4 American cemeteries. As I walk slowly past the honored row of these 4 caskets, a bunch of white roses in my hand, the strains of the dirge played by the French infantry band floated through the door. Twice I made the tour of the room, overwhelmed by the enormity of my mission there. A shaft of sunlight penetrated the gloom, and it seemed that I walked with God, and He guided my trembling hand as I gently placed the roses. Where's the roses?
On the table over there.
He had a bunch of roses, but we've got one, a white rose, and he put the rose on one of the 4 caskets, and that symbolizes the one, probably a superior being picked. I had selected the body of a deceased comrade, a soldier known but to God. The coffin was placed in a casket which was then loaded on board Admiral Dewey's old flagship, the Olympia, at Le Havre, France, and conveyed to the United States. The casket, upon arrival in Washington, D.C., was transported to the rotunda of the Capitol, where it lay in state on the same catafalque that Lincoln, Garfield, and McKinley laid in state. The body lay in state as thousands, actually 90,000 people passed the grave, or past the casket. Many wiped their tears as they saw in retrospect the body of their loved ones. Flowers and wreaths were brought by individuals and organizations. Representatives of foreign countries brought tribute from their nations. It was 8:30 in the morning on November 11th, the third anniversary of the signing of the armistice that ended the active fighting of World War I, when the body of the unknown was lifted from its resting place in the rotunda and borne tenderly down the steps of the Capitol to the caisson waiting below. A military band played, "Nearer, My God, to Thee." The president, the two former presidents, generals of the Army, war veterans whose valor had won them the Medal of Honor, cabinet members, senators, representatives, governors were in the cortege. At the amphitheater in Arlington, President Harding made a notable address, which was marked with deep emotions. As the body was lowered into the tomb, taps sounded, and the battery began the national salute. This is my story, comrades, of the 48. I received my rewards everlasting. I dwell in the house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens, with the comrades known but to God.
But at this very moment, thousands of miles from home, in grounds consecrated as American soil, sleep thousands of our comrades in arms. They sleep under the frosty skies of France and Germany, under the starry desert of Africa, and the inky canopy of the tropics. But despite the difference that separates them from us, they sleep there in watchful love of every American, as surely as if they were internally cradled in the soil of the motherland. For those heroes who did not return, let us dedicate this portion of the ritual as a memorial service to their memory. The name of him whose body lies here took flight with his imperishable soul. We know not whence he came, but only that his death marked him with the everlasting glory of an American who died for his country. We cannot know the imminence of his birth, but we do know the glory of his death. He died for his country, and a greater devotion has no man than this. He died unquestioning, uncomplaining, with faith in his heart and hope on his lips that his country would triumph and its civilization survive.
I represent the spirit of the unknown soldier, whose body shall rest forever unknown in the capital of my country. On each day, multitudes visit my resting place and pay homage at the shrine. To all, I represent each comrade of all wars who made the supreme sacrifice for his country. And for you, I speak with a commanding voice to the lawmakers of our great nation regarding their duty to the disabled, the sick, the orphan, the poor, and all comrades who have suffered war's cruel ravage. Would you, my comrades, who served and suffered with me in time of war, wish me to sink back to the rest I so richly deserve? If so, then carry on the work that you so nobly did in war, and complete the peacetime's task that war has placed upon us. During my days of rest, I have seen our valiant veterans return from battles unhonored and shunned by those who failed to serve our country in its time of need. I have witnessed the division of the American people by the unspoken minority, advocating non-support of our armed forces. Later, I witnessed my beloved land misled and betrayed by seductive foreign influence and encouraged by misguided Americans, scuttle a large part of its navy and palsy its nation's defense on land, on sea, and in air. Further seek the good of the nation, further spreading the principles of true democracy, further endeavoring to preserve for posterity a free government. I plead with you to make the 40 and 8s program your creed by day and your prayer by night, beseeching Almighty God for strength and guidance to continue the flight and for preparedness for the ideals, and principles upon which our civilization has been built, to see it that our nation never again is left without weapons in a world where he would be free must be strong, and to assure the unknown soldiers of all wars that their lives were not sacrificed in vain, and that nations shall not lift hands against nations, neither shall there be war anymore. Farewell, until we reassemble in the mansion of the Father, there to abide in peace and happiness throughout all eternity. Lord God of hosts, be with us yet, lest we forget. Farewell. Peace be unto you. Farewell.
Please stand for the prayer. Cover.
Unknown soldier, whose memory we revere, I placed upon your tomb this wreath that let you know that we who have returned will carry on and complete the peacetime task that war had placed upon us. Please uncover. Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, Lord of hosts and Prince of peace, extend your mercy, we pray, upon these, our departed comrades, who in their lifetime and in their death gave us the supreme example of how to live and how to die in service to you, our God, and to these United States, our beloved America. We ask your blessing in all humility upon our comrades who have gone before and upon La Societe. Through him, he said, greater love than this has no man, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Amen. Amen. Cover.
Ready? And salute. Good. Thank you for letting us share the 40-day ritual of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new today. If you would like to learn more about the 40-day and the programs we support, please ask anyone in a red shirt with a little triangle on it. Thank you again. Have a seat, please.
We're going to have another section now. This part is going to be on. Cole's going to talk. She's up at the podium there, but I just want to tell you a few things about her. 2 weeks from now, we will have a person talking on modern weapons. So while that's been happening over there in Iran and happened in Venezuela, and he will say what he can say. He can't tell you everything, but you'll probably learn a little bit more about modernity if you want to learn. He's very well versed on that. This lady here, I'll just say she was called one of the most remarkable women in 2024. She was a Woman Veteran of the Year for the Tri-State Women Veterans, and she was awarded the Point Men Life Service Award. She belongs to 10 different veterans organizations, but she's a prime mover. She's, the women were not big in the force back in the World War I and World War II, but they've become more like they're becoming more ever in the world, and they're taking over. But that's just what's going to happen if it's not already happened. I went to medical school here or in Indiana, and there was 10% women. Now there's 55% women in the class. So men, just catch on, just sit back, turn the TV and back off, because you're not worth much more. Now this is Barbara, and she's not going to talk long, about 15, 20 minutes about women veterans. I got a bunch of mannequins behind here, but she is really, without her, I don't think women veterans would be recognized as much around here. She's organized a women veteran group every year. I went to U of E one year, they had a lady astronaut talking. One year they had a USI, another year they had the veterans. So she has 250 people there, and it wouldn't happen without this young lady here. She's everywhere, and she does a lot of things. So we're lucky to have her talk. Barbara Cole.
Thank you.
This is her other half. Okay, I'm not going to call him better half. This is her other half.
Well, I'm Marine, he's Air Force, so you know how that goes. Women have answered the call to service with strength and honor across 250 years of our American history. Actually, it started way before that. It started in the beginning of times. If you remember, won't stay. Can they hear? Can y'all hear me? See, he doesn't know anything. Anyway, it began a long time before that. If you look at the Bible, you had Eve was fighting the snake. The snake won, but at least they were still fighting back then. All through history, you hear in the Bible of the women, how strong they were. You've heard of Joan of Arc, how she led the men, and there's just a lot of history from way back then. But I'll start during the Civil War, many of the women they would cut their hair, they would put on men's clothes, and they would go fight beside their brother veterans because they were not allowed to fight. Some of them would get injured. They would not go get medical attention because if they did, they would find out that they were women. Dr. Mary Walker, the first woman to be awarded the Medal of Honor. This was during the Civil War. But in 1917, they took the medal away from her because they said she did not deserve it. She was a doctor in the Civil War. She was helping in the crude hospital. She was in battle. But finally, years later, they did give it to her, or her back to her family. In World War I, you know, Evansville was a big war town and everything. In World War I, there were 305 women Marines in World War I. Would you believe one of the ladies actually came from Vanderburgh County? We've got her story and everything, but it's kind of odd that, you know, a little place like us would have a woman. But there was many more. There's a young lady that's writing a book. You may have heard of it. It's called The Ladies of Mercy. She's still working on it. And she's done a lot of research. She was the archivist for Vanderburgh County. And she was going through a box of old records. And this box said veterans. When she went through all that, and at the very, very bottom, of course, was records on women veterans. These ladies were mostly nurses from like the Red Cross. They went to Spain, Italy, wherever they were needed. And they were in very crude hospitals, like the ones we see on MASH. Those would be fancy hospitals compared to the ones they were back in. They didn't have the X-ray machines and everything. Like World War I was a long time ago. But in fact, when a bunch of them returned back to Evansville, the American Legion Post 8, they, I'll quote, say, allowed 8 of these ladies to join. They were veterans, but you know, back then, women were not veterans. There's so much more to their stories. I'll be glad when she gets done with this book. Then we go to World War II. Y'all have heard about the WASP. Well, you know, we built the planes here. The WASP are Women Air Force Service Pilots Program that began in 1942 and was disbanded in 1945. They flew all types of planes. They were test pilots. They ferried planes from here to there. They actually took them all overseas and everything. But if one of these ladies, when they were pilots, they had to pay their own way. They had to pay for their own rooms, their own food, their own uniforms. They were not given anything. But they did the work, and they get a lower wage than the men who did the same job. If one of these ladies died, was killed in a crash, the family had to take care of the arrangements. Lots of times a hat was passed among the ladies and they would help. It was not until 1977 that President Jimmy Carter, he signed a legislation. This bill granted the WASP full retroactive veteran service. Back then, of course, they were not considered veterans, but now, even though I think almost all of them have passed, they are veterans. We were lucky enough in our women's group to have 2 ladies that were from World War II. The stories that they told. Irene Blessing, she was a nurse, and she went to England. And she was in a hospital there. One day, there was all these planes were going over and over, the more planes than they had ever seen. Nobody knew what was going on. A couple days later, they started receiving the wounded back from Normandy, and they would take care of them. Later on, some POWs were sent, German POWs, and they were taking care of them. she took care of them, but as all Americans have, they're, kind of cautious when they were taking care of the POWs. And she said that at night she could hear him singing in German. And then we had another lady, she was a Marine, and they shipped a bunch of them over on a transit with the guys. But the women were put down, way down below, and they had to have a Marine guard there to guard them, so the other guys didn't bother. She said when they went up on the deck up to get the sunshine for 1 hour a day, they'd be waving at all the guys, and all the guys would be whistling and hollering at them. So and she went to Pearl Harbor and she served there. And these are two great ladies. We had a Korean lady, she served with us on Vietnam Air, and there's several Vietnam Airs, and we've got them on down to pretty well the present. But these ladies from World War II, they opened a lot of doors for us. Again, they went into the service when the war was over. They were said, bye, see you later. They were not veterans. Still, we were serving, but we were not veterans. In 1948, President Truman, he enacted the Women's Armed Service Integration Act of 1948. This gave permanent status to women to be military veterans. So since 1948, women have been veterans. I served from 68 to 72 during the Vietnam era. Only 2% of the whole military could be women. And you see the sign over there, if you want to fight, showing the Marines, there's a woman there. But what we did, our motto was free a man to fight, meaning we took the desk job or whatever job needed supply occur, transport, anything that needed to be done. That way they could send somebody over to fight. Since back then they didn't allow women to fight. During Vietnam, really the only women in Vietnam were nurses. It was Air Force, Army, and Navy. And actually, the wall is going to be here the last of September, 1st of October. It's going to be brought here by USI. And on the wall, there are the 8 ladies' names on there. Most people don't even know that the ladies' names are on there. So if you get a chance, go out to the wall and see if you can find the ladies' names. But like I said, during the Vietnam era, we were not allowed in combat. I spent 2.5 years in Okinawa. That's as close as I could get. But we did what we could. We supported our military. We were proud to. As time goes by, around the 1980s, women were allowed to go into the combat areas. And I guess most of you guys think, oh, we shouldn't be there. But some of the ladies could shoot better than the guys. So that's been proven. But anyway, we were finally sent into areas, but again, they protected us. But now we've had ladies that have died. We have ladies that have come back, arms or legs missing. They come back with PTSD, MST. But these ladies, in fact, we had to fight to get a monument in Washington, D.C. When were they doing that? They were said that if we give the women the monument, then we have to give a monument to the dogs, to the canine dogs. It took us a long time, but they did get a monument to the ladies. Across from the Civic Center, there is a monument that has one lady in there. So, I mean, they're finally bringing it around. The ladies now are, like I said, going overseas, doing what they had to do. But I've got a whole table of ladies. Ladies, stand up. Are there any other lady veterans in here? are a few, it's hard to find the ladies. You guys wear your t-shirts and your hats, and we know that you're in the military and all that, but usually the girls don't. Well, some of them do, but usually they don't. My husband will in fact say, they'll thank him for his service, and he'll turn around and say, well, she was a Marine, They said, really? But, if you know of any lady veterans, we need to find it, because we need the camaraderie. Some of the ladies, they don't like to go to the VFW or the American Legion because they've had problems in the past, and you guys, you like to tell your stories, and the ladies don't. So about 16 years ago, 2011, I thought we needed a group just for the women veterans. And we started this group with maybe 7 or 8 ladies. I think we have actually 40 paid members. We have 15 to 20 ladies at our monthly meetings. We're able to, we're not psychologists, but we've got a hand to hold, a shoulder to cry on. We can tell them, you need to go here to get help, or you need to do this. We've helped them emotionally, physically, financially, we needed just the women's, we need our women's day out. And then one day a year, and this will be our 15th conference. It would have been 16, but Mr. Colbert took care of one. But we have a conference every year. We have 100 or more ladies there. It costs nothing for the ladies to come. We have a continental breakfast. We have vendors there that give them information. We have a guest speaker. We have a lunch. And then we have pampering in the afternoon and door prizes. But the thing is, it's a good way for the ladies to get together. They've made new friends. They've found old friends. Or just like a fraternity of women. Like I said, it's hard to find. And like, if you do see a woman veteran, tell her thank you for her service. Because sometimes we're forgotten, and we just need that pat on the back too. Thank you for listening to me, and I'll give it back to Dr. Brown.
No, you stay there. This is very important. It's called the share time, and I've got 3 questions for you right away, and bring the microphones out and also bring the hats out. There's a helmet. Somebody, if you want to donate a little bit, we're passing helmets around. We're trying to do something for our archive department. We're got a grant. We're trying to match it. We're getting pretty close. But first thing, there was Mr. and Mrs. Benedict. I don't know if you knew him. He worked at Bucyrus Erie. They died at about 95. I interviewed both of them, but they were the 2 oldest Marine veterans. She was a Marine, and they were 2 oldest in the United States at age 95. But you didn't find very many women in the Marine Corps, but she was, they lived right over by the Old North High School. Talking about that lady in Gowan, she said a little lady that does archives, that lady's even smaller than her, but firepower is not proportional to your size. I'm a lot bigger than her, but she got more firepower than me. That little girl just has done archive work unbelievable, bringing history back to Evansville. In the bottom of the box she found did find something, and she found in World War I room, she found something on my great aunt. Her name was Mary Browning, and she was in World War I. She was a nurse there in the trenches, and she had to shave her head when she came back because she was scared of lice, and she never was right after the war. She probably wasn't right before the war, but she wasn't right afterwards. I'm not right before and after, so I probably got some of her genes, but we've got letters of hers over in the World War I room. But the women had to work in those trenches, the filth, the dirtiness, everything in World War I. And the women nurses, they got 135 of them from here. All the hospitals were empty, and then what happened is the virus of 1918 happened. We didn't have any nurses around. They were all overseas or helping the army. So it was a tough time, 1917 and 18. And she mentioned one other thing that was important. Where's the microphones? We've got to have microphones. Guys, bring your microphones out. Somebody help us out here. Microphones, and get your hands up. And you gotta ask her, we got some women here, so you ask some women questions on women veterans. So absolutely, I was in the military, they started putting them in a lot then. I don't know what the percentage is of women now, but you know, they do a very good job. Okay, we got Mrs. Whitty, Barbara Boots Whitty. Now she's the daughter of Harold Whitty, Hal Boots. And he's the one that had Boots Manufacturing, and he flew a B-25, and we've interviewed him. A B-18, B-17, 18 missions. Okay, he flew a plane. All right. He flew a plane in World War II, 18 missions, and he'd say those kitchens that he made at Boots were dropping down in Italy on him. And he said, those are made in my hometown at his factory. Go ahead, Miss Barbara Boots Whitty.
I have a question.
Get your microphone up.
Didn't our former governor's wife was in the military, Josie Orr?
Yeah, Mrs. Orr was she was a pilot, she was in the military. The archives have it at Willard. I can't be very specific on that. So was if you know Carson, there was Ellis Carson, there was William Carson that started the McCurdy Hotel, vice president of Hercules, but he has called the Carson Foundation, it has Camp Carson, it has also Carson Center at U of E. But his wife was a pilot before World War II. She didn't go to World War II, but that's very rare, the women pilots. But so Orr's wife was a pilot, and I don't know if she's in the war, but I think she was. But also that other lady, Mrs. Carson, Ellis Carson's wife, who owned Sunbeam Plastics. Orr was a WASP pilot. A WASP pilot. Now, WASP pilot, a lady up there, she already left, named Donna Bone's done a review on WASP. There's a WASP museum in Texas. It's very nicely done. There's probably only 2 or 3 WASP pilots left. But WASP, there were 1,800 that went to be a WASP. I mean, trained to be a pilot. And 1,200 passed the test. So there's 12 or 1,300 that were pilots, and they fly that plane or any plane anywhere. They were actually as good as the men, and they were called transport. Whenever we'd have too many in our parking lot here. So we had to move them. We moved them up to Lawrenceville and other places. But WASP pilots were very important. Now, Mr. Coolensmith didn't like the WASP pilots because he didn't go to war because of them. Because Hap Arnold was head of the Air Force, and he was smitten with that lady that's in the photograph over there, and they were in love. And so she talked him into making all those women active duty. So they got all the way to vote in Congress, and they lost being on active duty. So the WASP were not on active duty, but during that period of time, they got rid of a lot of men, and Coolensmith was a man, and it was because Hap Arnold and that lady were smitten. I don't know if they ever got married or not.
Josie Orr's WASP uniform is on display. Josie Orr's WASP uniform is on display at the Evansville Museum.
Bruce was right. This lady confirmed it. Okay. She worked there, she talked to Josie. Okay, you got another question? Go over there. Get up to the microphone and say who you are.
I'm Diana Masterson, and I'm a United States Army, and I'm one of Barbara's a Tri-State Women Veteran group. And I wanted to remind everybody that we had, I was just looking it up here, that we had Hello Girls that were from World War I as bilingual telephone operators. And they were veterans. We don't want to forget that maybe people have seen the movie 688, and that's where there was a group of Black women veterans that did our service by delivering the mail that could not be delivered by anybody else. They got 6 months to do it, and they did it in 3.
Say who you are.
Yeah, with the 888, the men had been taking care of the mail, and some of the soldiers were not getting their mail, and they were never getting the mail back home, so nobody knew what was happening. So they sent, they thought it was going to be a failure to send a group of Black ladies over there to take care of the mail. You know, that's a simple job. Like I said, they were given 6 months to get everything straight. Well, they did it in 3 months. All of the guys in the field and everything, they were getting their mail. So it was really good for the morale of the men that were there fighting. And also now for the strength of the military, like I said, when I was in, it was 2%. And now it is almost 18%. We've got generals, we've got people in charge of the big boats, we've got them in bases, and they're doing everything now. We've broken the ceiling.
Yeah, Brian Brenthold. Do you have any estimate on the number of the women that have served, like in the Civil War and First and Second World War?
You know, I think over all the time, there's been like over 2 million ladies that have served, but that's going to be growing. Like I said, we're taking over 18% of the military now, and like Dr. Browning said, you all better be careful, because there's so many of the young guys that can't join because of drugs. They get in trouble or something, and actually the women are fighting. They're doing everything that the men can do. So I mean, we're a growing force.
Yeah, our last lady that just passed was Nicole Moore. She's 39 years old. She was just killed the other day in Iran. I've got to say that all the ladies that I've served with over a period of time while I was in the military did an outstanding job, and I really appreciate every one of them.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Nanette Phillips, and my husband and I, Alan, are Cold War veterans, Army. And something I wanted to point out to all of you is there is a West Point female graduate that's coming to talk with us in July. You might want to come see that. She is from the first class of women at West Point. She's been our friend since West Point years. My husband was one of her mentors. He was a senior when she came in as a freshman. And she'll have a lot of stories to tell you about women in the armed services over the last 30 years. And combat. She has a lot of combat experience also. So I hope you come see that.
Yeah, we're lucky to have her. Somebody could look up the date when she's, I think it's in August.
July 16th?
July 16th. But this lady, one of the first graduating class at West Point. Remember, West Point started about 1812 or so, and then the women didn't even get in until whatever year.
Mid-70s, when
Mid-70s.
they started allowing women to enter the service academies.
In the Navy, they got in the Navy too, because I take care of them from Annapolis, and you know, they're pretty stressed because you're 1 out of 100 or 2 out of 100 at that time. It's pretty tough. Now, I showed you a book about West Point. There's a brand new book on West Point. I can't put it down. It's just absolutely superb. The guy that was the leader, the teacher, the main teacher there for the first 30 or 40 years, it's all about him and how that started. It's just absolutely amazing that we actually had a hard time getting West Point going, getting funding, getting everything else. Thank you for telling us about that. We'll have everybody show up in July somewhere. July, the second week of July. Yes, ma'am. Tell us who you are. Microphone's got to get to your mouth.
I would like, okay, I would like for somebody to check if the AAA has been put back on the list of people who got the Medal of Honor, because they were taken off along with General Howe because of their race when our current president came in. And I would like to make sure those women in Colonel Powell, General Powell, are recognized as women.
All right, I don't know if I have the power to do that, but I could bring it up to somebody. No, that's right, get her, she'll get anything done. Yeah, do that, write your congressman. Okay, if somebody has a Ford, it's black, it's an F-150, a life member of the Post 114, you need to move it because you're blocking somebody in. I don't know whose truck that is, but I'll be glad to take it. Okay. Okay, second thing, Mayor's gonna make an announcement. Just so you know, we talked about Medal of Honor about 4 times here. We have a guy, a good friend of this guy named Kenny Quinn. He's over here, he was the bugler, did a good job, didn't miss a note. Name's Tom Ballard. He will be in Evansville from 4/6 to 4/6, that's April 6th to April 9th. It's free at USI on Wednesday night. It's also free here at Lunch and Learn. Lunch and Learn will be that Thursday. That week, it's an off week that we're gonna have it. But we'd like you to try to attend one of his things. And he's a Medal of Honor. There's only about 55 or so left in the world right now, out of 3,500 that Medal of Honor is there. He's pretty significant. And I'm supposed to also do, is this what you're doing now?
No, Nancy.
Okay, this is the Rosie the Riveter. You want to talk?
Nancy, yeah, go talk.
Okay, you want to ask a question. This is a question and answer session. Okay. All right, this Rosie the River is going to be here March 21st. It's free, 11 to 4.
Doctor?
Yes.
What was her question about Dr. Walker?
Dr. Walker, can you bring up, who brought up Dr. Walker? I think she was a lady in the Civil War. Stand up, whoever said Walker.
I said something about it.
She did Walker.
Well, what was this lady's question?
This lady's question is Mrs. Watts, and she's asking you, she'll say it again. She'll say it again.
I am questioning that AAA is put back on the honor list, or that they got medals of honor from President Obama, and the current president took them off because of their race.
So somebody was taken off Medal of Honor winner because of the race, put on by Obama and taken off by, I guess, Trump. And so we want you to try to turn that around. Any other questions? Question and answer? Okay, Meredith?
So we had a minor fender bender on the apron. If you have a silver Mitsubishi and a red Buick, please come see me. Everyone else, you're fine, but please be patient as we're leaving today because there's a lot of rain and there's a lot of traffic. So we are going to try to get everybody out of here, but please move patiently. And if you have the silver Mitsubishi and the red Buick, please come see me.
Okay, we got a black Ford, now those other 2. So we got 3 cars to talk to, okay? We'll be glad to take those 2 too. I'll take them. This is Mrs. Sanderson. I'm going to let her say 2 words.
Thank you, ladies, for coming today. You are beautiful, and I want a picture of you after the event. And please look at that little stand-up on a block. It's an invitation to come to the museum on March 21, Saturday. It's free. Woods and Woods is paying your admission. 3 words. Bye.
If the other 2 lady veterans that are here, could you please come up and join us too?
Okay, have a good day. See you in 2 weeks. Thank you for coming.